Hey, 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 hey there, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm John Silvers, and this is Sunday with Silvers. Happy New Year to all of you. Great to see you. Thank you for being here. This is Sunday with Silvers, where I share some music, I share some acting, I share some stories, and I'm so grateful that you're here watching. I'm here every Sunday, 3:45 to 4:45, sharing songs that I've written over the last, I don't know, 50 years. Woo, that's a long time. And whatever happens to be on my mind. And this is a place where everybody is welcome. So thank you for being here. And I want you to know something. It's never too late, da 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 da, never too late to be great. And the crowd goes wild. I'm going to close my door here so we can have a little privacy so the dog doesn't bark. Well, he may bark, but if he does, we won't have to hear him. He's a cute one. I don't know if anybody out there loves animals. I definitely do. We got a scrunchy one. His name is Mochi. Maybe one of these days I'll let him come on Sunday with Silvers with me and sing a song. He likes to howl, though. He's more like a rock singer, I think, screamer. Oh! Anyway, so good to see you here. I had a wonderful New Year's. I was sick over Christmas, which I think I mentioned if you were here last week. In fact, I'm sure I mentioned because I still sounded a little sick. And even yesterday, I was feeling a little lightheaded. I got this hat that you can wear to try to grow back your, you know, um, receding hairline, and if you got any kind of thinning on the top there, which I starting to have a little bit because I'm 63. And I thought, well, let me get this hat. It shoots lasers into your head. And it made me dizzy. I think I was dehydrated, so I have my water now, and I should be just all right, or better than all right. So let's start with a song. What do you say? Which one should we start with? How about my love for you is beyond words, so I will stay silent, listen to the birds. For they can sing your praises better than my best phrases. In case you hadn't heard, my love for you is beyond words. My love for you is beyond time. It's beyond space and beyond rhyme. It's beyond all the pages of our most enlightened sages. It will always shine. My love for you is beyond time. I almost forgot how to play it there for a second. La, la, la. My love for you is beyond love, far beyond anything that I can think of. It lives within my heart and lifts me up above. From up here it's clear, my love for you is beyond love. My love for you is beyond love. My love for you is beyond love. I wrote that for my daughter, Joey May. And yeah, sometimes there are things in life that we care about, or people that we care about to the extent that we don't even have words for it. And that's how I feel about my daughter. So hopefully you can identify with that because, you know, hopefully you have people in your life. It'd be great if we had even more than one person in our life like that, that we care that much about. Oh, maybe that's her calling. Whoever this is, they're going to have to wait. Hang on a second. Hello, this is John. Okay. So you're saying you're locked out? I'm gonna have my wife drive over because I'm in the middle of a live stream. Say hi to everybody. Okay, I'll send my wife over. Thank you. I'll let her know that you need her to bring the key over. Okay? Oh, I lost you. Hang on one second. We have a slight emergency, not a big one, but I need to tell my wife something, as you could hear. Hang on one second. Hey, Wendy. He's outside. He's on a he's on a thread if you need to call him, okay? Because I can't take any more calls. I am back, everybody. Thank you for hanging with me on that little interesting moment. That's kind of what life is like, right? We think we have something planned, and normally I usually turn off my phone while I'm doing this live stream, but something for whatever reason had me not turn it off, and lo and behold, I got kind of a somewhat of a, it's not an emergency, just somebody is watching my daughter's dog and locked himself out of the apartment and needs someone to race over there with a key, so to let him and the dog back in. So hey, life happens the way life happens, even if you don't necessarily expect it to happen that way. It just happens. Um, but that's okay. That's okay because the best thing about life is that we have an opportunity to what am I trying to say? To to be flexible, to let things happen and not let it throw us, not let it make us feel like somehow we're drowning in the world. So, and that being said, there's a song that I wrote once upon a time that I can play for you now. It's called Falling Upward. Hopefully, I can get through this. This song is a song that um, is an interesting story behind it. There's a friend of ours, my family's, his name is Michael Beckwith. You might know him from, he's a reverend, and he originally, he was the founder of Agape International Spiritual Center, which is a all-inclusive spiritual center. I guess they call it trans-denominational, which means that everybody's welcome, whatever whatever you have uh, done in the past in terms of how you view spirit, you're welcome. There's no there's no one way to kind of view that in this church, and so basically we were able. Well, one day I was trying to help my daughter fly a kite. The story is, this is a true story, and I was having all kinds of trouble. I couldn't get this kite to fly. I tried everything, and Reverend Michael, who, as I said, is a friend of ours, was running a retreat, and we were at the retreat center while he was, watching us try to fly this kite. He said, "Hey, you know." I used to love to fly kites. Can I give it a try? Now, me being the dad, I wanted to be able to be the hero for my daughter and fly this kite, but I was having no luck at all. I just wasn't getting it off the ground. And so Reverend Michael came along, and immediately this kite was flying straight up in the air. I mean, when I say immediately, it might have taken him a minute, but there was no wind. I mean, I couldn't get the thing off the ground. And somehow he got it to fly straight up. Oops, he got it to fly straight up. And so it got me to thinking, sometimes well, it was almost like it was falling upward, like gravity was opposite and it was causing it to pull the kite up in the air, which I was completely shocked about. And so I wrote a song about that. And the song is called Falling Upward. And it's basically about the idea that sometimes when we think that everything's falling apart in our lives, that maybe sometimes that's actually when things are coming together, but they need to kind of fall apart a little bit so that we can put them back together. And if that's not a metaphor for kind of what seems to be going on in the world right now, it definitely looks like there's a lot of stuff that's kind of falling apart, or, something's happening that's relatively on the crazy side. And yeah, I mean, this idea that we can look at that and not be afraid, not be worried, um, know that everything's going to work out. I mean, that's important because we can lose hope. And I'm not about that at all, because it's never too late, never too late, da, 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 da. Never too late to be great. And that includes us as a nation and as a human, as an entity of human beings, we can be great. So I may forget the middle of this song, but it goes like this. I'm falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd, but I'm falling upward. Oh yeah. I'm falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd, but I'm falling upward. Oh yeah. 1, 2, 3, come on now. I'm falling upward. Though it sounds a bit absurd, I'm falling upward. Oh yeah. I'm falling upward. Though it sounds a bit absurd, I'm falling upward. Oh yeah. Being lifted, being gifted by the light, something shifted. Now everything's alright. I'm no longer at the effect of circumstance. My faith is stronger, and my life is one big dance. Oh, now. Come on, dance. That's right. Falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd. I'm falling upward. Oh, yeah. Falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd, but I'm falling upward. Oh, yeah. I'm being lifted, being gifted by the light. Something shifted, and now everything's all right. Let me see. Did I do that right? I'm celebrating. There we go. The anticipating's through. No more waiting. Now I give my life to you. Love's the only thing that we can bring that heals everything. So I'm opening my heart and letting spirit do its thing. Yeah. Come on now. Let spirit do its thing. I know the law of gravity, but it does not apply to me. Within the spirit, I am free to fly as high as I can see. There's another law I know. It keeps me in the overflow. It takes me where I want to go. It's always yes and never no. Never no. No, it's never no. I'm falling upward. I know it sounds a bit absurd. I'm falling upward. Oh, yeah. Falling upward. No, it sounds a bit absurd. I'm falling upward. Oh, yeah. It's so dramatic. The way that I have been set free from all the static that used to whirl inside of me. I am love, revealing universal positivity and expanding to the glory of my greatest yet to be. I'm falling upward, yeah, yeah. Falling upward. So cast away all doubt and fear. There's no direction left for you to steer. Your destination is very clear. Heaven is right now. Heaven is right here. Come on now. That's right. Falling upward. Falling upward, yeah, oh, yeah. Falling upward. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Cool. That's falling upwards. It's this idea that, and I'm really, these days, because the world is so kind of crazy. I don't know if it's crazier than it ever was, but there's some crazy stuff going on. I just have to trust and have faith. I don't have to, but I choose to. And I think we all have the choice to. I'm not suggesting that we just ignore things and just accept things that don't work for us, because clearly that doesn't work. We'll get, there's somebody that once told me that, there are takers and there are people that get taken. And I'm definitely not talking about anybody getting taken, but I am talking about this ability to kind of look at what's going on, have an intention that it be different, but not get stuck in fear, doubt, and worry. There goes the dog, by the way. You can probably hear him. Mochi, cut it out. He's not going to stop. He probably, I don't know, sees another dog. He wants to talk to them. He's a very social guy. Anyway, and let's talk to each other. I think we could take something from our animals. They see each other and they're either, well, I don't know, they're either barking at each other, if they don't like each other. But when they do like each other, they connect, and well, I'm not suggesting we walk around sniffing each other's booties, which a dog will do. Not sure why they do that, but I'm sure there's some scientific explanation. But I am suggesting that, this society that we're in, I had this thought that, um, the powers that be, don't care whether we like them or not, as long as we argue about it and we, hate each other. Because if we don't like what somebody does who's in power, and other people like what they're doing, then we tend to get into it with those other people, whichever quote unquote side we may be on. But maybe there's no side. Maybe the only side is human being. And maybe, that's the way I think, that I can disagree with somebody about a lot of things, but we're still human beings. Um, so I wish I could say that I always apply that to my life. I was actually thinking about, the other day I was walking Mochi, the dog, and this interesting thing happened. I I I was afraid. Well, I wasn't afraid, but yeah, I was a little afraid. There are coyotes in our area, and they're not going to attack me. We were surrounded by them once, though, of 12 midnight about 4 months ago, when there were a lot of coyotes in our area, um, and they would come out at night, and they would come out when the sun would come up because they're hungry, and we have. I think it was probably the fires that happened here a year ago. Actually, was it a year ago, 2 days from now? Yeah. Well, these fires that happened, and then also just clearing lands where they would typically live. And there were a lot of coyotes around, and my wife would see them in the morning when she would walk the dog, and it would scare her. But they wouldn't come at us. But one night I was walking Mochi, our dog, at midnight because I don't know. Sometimes I just don't get around to it till then, or maybe I'm out doing something. And so it was midnight, and I'm reaching down to pick up the poop, because dogs do that. And all of a sudden I hear "Arr!" from my dog, and I look up, and about 20 feet away from me was a full-grown coyote just standing there looking at me like, "What you gonna do, sucker? Huh? You gonna let me eat that little guy you got on that leash?" And so I looked to my right, and there was another coyote about maybe 20 feet farther away, maybe about 40 feet away. But they were together, they were buddies, and they were gonna try to maybe see if they could distract me one way. I don't know what they were gonna do. They were definitely hungry, and they thought that Mochi looked like a midnight snack to them. So I did exactly what you're not supposed to do. Well, first I did what you're supposed to do is wave my arms. You're supposed to pick up your dog, but if I pick up Mochi, he'll growl at me because he's a little crazy. So I didn't want to pick him up, but I waved my arms, as much as I could, tried to make myself look as big as possible, which they tell you to do. And I yelled. It was midnight. I was standing right in front of a house. I'm like, ah, screaming at the top of my lungs. They just stood there and looked at me like, yeah, okay, now what are you gonna do? So I just started slowly backing away, and I got about 20 feet farther away from them. I was just at the curb to step out into the street to walk away from them, and I decided to do the thing that you should never do, which is to run. I didn't run like fast running, but we picked up our pace and trotted a little bit. And as I'm running down the street on the sidewalk, I'm thinking to myself, I think they said not to do this. So then I turned around to look. I stopped and I turned around to look, and they were starting to come. Because when you run from a coyote, they think you're, oh, this is a chase. We like this. And so then I stopped and I yelled at it some more, and they stopped. And then I just kept walking. So we were safe and we got away. Well, anyway, long story long, the other night I was walking Mochi, and it wasn't as late. But it was nighttime. And ever since then, I carry a flashlight and I carry a bear horn, air horn to scare him off. And I've had to scare him off a couple times since then. And so last night or the night before last, I was walking him, and Mochi started to growl at this animal that was running past us, and it was too small to be a coyote. It was a possum, and I don't know about you, but possums kind of gross me out. And I know that if you're a vegan out there, or you belong to PETA, you probably won't like to hear this, but I'm not big on possums. I mean, they've never hurt me, but they're ugh, they're hard to look at for me. So I was like, I got a little like, but I said, okay, we'll keep walking. So yeah, I'm clearly a city boy, right? All you country people out there are probably going, what a wimp. Anyway, so the possum walks by, and we keep walking, and there's a bunch of bunnies in our neighborhood that kind of sit on people's yards and stuff. So we walked a few more houses down, and we saw a cute little bunny. And so then by the time I walked home, walking the dog, I had written a poem. It's actually a song, but it's not finished yet. So right now it's a poem, and it goes like this: Why are little bunnies so lovely, while possums are impossible to love? Maybe it's because they are so ugly. Possums look like rats on steroid drugs. Every time I see one, I go, ick, 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 and I feel like I'm getting sick. If there was an animal I had to be, a possum would not be the one for me. With their tiny beady eyes and their long skinny tails, their little pot bellies and their razor sharp nails, God must have been drinking when he thought of that design, or else he was completely out his mind. Not that God is a he, but or else it was completely out of its mind. God, that is. Anyway, that's that's what I got so far. And I shared it with a friend of mine, and he said, oh, okay, well, that's a good start, but you got to redeem the poor possum somehow. And he's right, because he said they're part of the circle of life. So I thought, well, that's true. They probably have a wife, which rhymes with life. And they probably have some little ones because I've seen the little possums before. So they definitely have little baby possums. And I guess they're kind of cute. They look like rats before they took the steroids. But anyway, I'm going to have to make peace with the possums, but I'm not going to make any possum stew like they do in the South. At least I've heard they do, because I'm not going that far. And that wouldn't be making peace with them anyway. That would be making dinner with them. And I'm definitely not going to do that. So, anyway, that's my possum story. And I'm sticking to it. What can we do here? We're having a good time. I hope you're having a good time. Pretty soon it's going to be time for the accountability corner, which, if you're not sure what that is, that's something I can share with you. The accountability corner is where I put myself in the corner and I talk about what it is that I am doing and commit to it, because it's never too late, never too late, never too late to be what? Great. And the crowd goes wild. No, it's never too late. And so sometimes we feel like maybe we're going backwards. I just started doing some catering again, which I hadn't done for years, but I like it. I don't know what's strange. I like being of service to people. May I take your drink? What would you like? Can I help you? I don't know. For some reason, that just feels fun to me. Not that I want to do it constantly, but I used to do that years ago. I used to work for Wolfgang Puck, and I have some stories I could tell you about that. Not just working for Wolfgang Puck, but working for a lot of people. I'll tell you one quick story. I was working at a restaurant that used to be called City Restaurant. It was on Second and La Brea. It was some celebrity chefs who still own restaurants in Las Vegas and there. Anyway, I was working with them back in the, I guess it was the 90s. And yeah, it was the 90s. And they had a party to celebrate um, going platinum for the album or for the song "My Prerogative" by Bobby Brown. My prerogative, doo, 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 it's the way that I want to live. Anyway, great song. So because it went platinum, they had this party at this restaurant, which was a hip and cool restaurant, and everybody who was anybody was there in the music industry, and just, well, I shouldn't say everybody was anybody, but there were a lot of very famous people there, and I'm carrying hors d'oeuvres or whatever. I'm carrying drinks around. So there's Rod Stewart was there, who, by the way, if you've ever seen Rod Stewart, especially back then, like up close, I've never seen anybody that looks more like a rock star than that guy. I mean, chiseled face and everything. I mean, plus he's a pretty, uh, in good shape. He's a soccer player, so he was there, and I was quite impressed with him. And Thomas Hearns, the boxer, was there, looking like a greyhound, or not a greyhound, like a what do you call it? Those dogs that are so strong. Not a pit bull, but nah. Anyway, the why can't I think of the name of the dog? Anyway, Doberman. He looked like a Doberman. He was that chiseled. And Janet Jackson was there with a whole entourage of people. Her 20 people following her around, and Shelley Duvall, who is the late Shelley Duvall, who was just sweet as all get out. She was there. So there were some actors there as well. And Boy George was there, and so was Little Richard. I mean, it was a very eclectic crowd at this party, and I'm carrying this tray of martinis. And if you know anything about martini glasses, which I'm sure you do, they don't have really much of a curve to them. And if they fill them high, then it's kind of like if you move it all too much, it's going to spill over. Not the whole glass, but something's going to fly out. And somebody bumped into my arm while I'm carrying this tray of martinis. And some of the martini flies out of one of the glasses. The glass stays on the tray, but some of the martini flies out and lands on Boy George, who's sitting outside in the patio. And so I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, what did I just do? So picture this, I'm standing over Boy George, and he's got this little bit of martini that just fell on him. And I'm thinking, I'm going to get in trouble here. And Boy George turns to me and he looks up at me and he goes, I love you and I buy all your records. Yeah, it was funny. And I was like, you're a cool dude, Boy George. He could have gotten mad. He could have done anything. But what that told me was that he was like, this is a guy who I don't know who just dropped some martini on me, but he could be one of my fans. And I appreciate my fans. I'm speaking, thinking what Boy George might have been thinking in the moment. It's like, okay, so I got a little wet from a little bit of martini, but I appreciate my fans. And if this guy is one of them, or even if he isn't, I'm going to let him know that I appreciate him, which was, God, I get emotional all these years later talking about it. It was very kind hearted of him. It's not like I burned him with set him on fire or something, but he could have, people who have that kind of fame can sometimes think that they are above you. And you really get to know people though when you wait on them. Uh, their 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 true colors kind of come out to some extent, even though they're in a public place. When they do a one-on-one kind of exchange with you, you get to see their personalities a lot. And he was just a really cool guy. So, Boy George, if you're out there, thank you for being kind to me. I appreciate that. And I got stories about all kinds of people. John Ritter from Three's Company, he was great. Um, I mean, I met everybody from The Edge, from U2, the guitarist from U2, to Derek Jacobi, the famous um, Shakespearean actor. Francis Ford Coppola. I mean, all kinds of people came into that place. So it was an interesting time. But I don't miss it that much that I'm going to go back and get myself a waiter job, because I'm a musician and I'm an actor and I'm a speaker at times. I talk a lot about my experience of growing up as a multiracial American and what that means. And I was gonna, kind of initially I thought, well, I don't want to just make that my identity and try to go out and talk about that, because I don't want to get pigeonholed into, oh, that's who this person is, because my racial background is a subcategory of who I am. Um, and your race, and I don't want to tell you how to think, but I feel like everybody's race is just a subcategory of who they are, and that the main category is human being. And that if we recognize that and we treat each other first and foremost as human beings, rather than as this religion or that religion, or this color of skin or that color of skin, or this culture or that culture, and we just recognize that we're all human beings first and foremost, not to negate the rest of it and say that it's not important. Your culture and your heritage and your background and your religion, those things are important if you think they are. But first and foremost, we're human beings. And our goal should be, I'm not going to shit on anybody. I believe that our goal can be, if we choose it to be, to love each other unconditionally and to care for each other and take care of each other. That to me is bravery. That to me is courage. That to me is humanitarianism, or maybe humanitarianism. Is that a word? It should be, because women a lot of times tend to kind of be coming more from their heart, I think, and less from their head in terms of revenge and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to make that a blanket statement, but I think we could use a lot more female leaders in this world, um, and a lot more men who are in touch with their sensitivity and their feminine side, so that we're not just all testosterone and we're not all the opposite, whatever that is. But a nice mix. Like me, I'm a mix. I'm a mix. I'm a Heinz 57. So, and that leads me to think of some music that I could play for you. Oh, I was going to take a drink of water. Remind me to hydrate, okay? I don't want to get dizzy like I was at the gym last night. Hmm. And I don't want to. I want to keep wearing this hat. I'll show you now. If you stay with me for a while, we'll see if I get any hair to grow in here at all. Not that it's that important, but hey, if it's gotten this far, maybe it'll go farther, and that's not something I'm interested in. Um, so we'll see if you stick around here for the next few months. We'll see if anything actually grows in, or if I got scammed for a hat with a bunch of colored lights in it. Let's see. Let's find a song that I want to play. I'm thinking about looking for something in this big. Let me turn off my phone too because I don't need another. I hope my wife figured that situation out. I put on the do not disturb, and let's see. I'm going to look through this very extensive songbook that I have of songs that I've written over the years and see what I can come up with here to play for you because I do have a lot of them. Let's see what we got here. The one I'm looking for specifically is one that would kind of address what I was talking about just a moment ago. Um, this is a funny one. This is one I wrote for a friend of mine. I'm just going to read it. It says, I ain't going to marry for money. I ain't going to marry for love. He doesn't have to be funny. He can have an IQ of average or above. But there's one thing I will not compromise. One thing he's got to have to win the prize. I need a man with an excellent health plan. I don't care if he's handsome. I don't care if he's short or tall. I don't care if he searches all night long and never finds my G spot at all. Oops, I forgot I wrote that. That's right. This is for a woman, obviously. I don't care if I have to fake every orgasm. If reasonable deductibles, he has them. I wrote this for a friend of mine who was talking about the fact that she wanted to find a man, and but he needed to have a good health plan. So then it says, I want a man with an excellent health plan. The final line says, I want a man I can take home to mama, one with a plan like Barack Obama. I'm not looking for no sugar daddy. As long as he's got full coverage, I'm happy. She thought it was funny. I like to write funny songs if I can. I don't know if that possum one was all that funny. I guess it would be as long as you're not a possum. Um, but I was looking for a song that I can play for you that kind of has to do with what I was talking about us being uh, human beings first, and whatever race or religion or sexual preference or whatever else we want, however else we want to identify ourselves. Those are subcategories. So maybe I've got something here. Ooh, there's one. I think I played that one before though. Let me see here. Somebody told. Okay. I'm thumbing through my old stuff. Uh, hmm. Well, this is kind of in that vein. This is about, what do we do when we see someone less fortunate than we are? How do we relate to them? Now, this song is called What If This Man Was Me? And to give you some background on this song, I was sitting in my living room, and on the other side, it was 2 in the morning, and the TV was on. I was watching it, which I sometimes do until that late at night. And just on the other side, so as I'm sitting there watching TV, there's a window right here, and on the other side of the window is a porch. And on that porch, I had just put a chair, a couple of chairs, thinking one day I might sit on the porch, which I still have never done. But anyway, the day that I put the day that I put those two chairs out there, I happened to be sitting inside next to the window, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, I heard somebody sit down in the chair, and my window was slightly open, but it had those louver, windows, and I peeked out underneath, and I saw, sure enough, there were some feet, some shoes, and I kind of freaked out because it was 2 in the morning. I'm like, who's sitting on my porch right in front of my window? He's literally like 3 feet away from me, but just on the other side of this window. And what happened was I peeked up higher and I could see somebody's face, and I yelled out, "Hey, get off my porch! What are you doing?" And I saw this older black man who looked like he didn't have a home, and he kind of got startled, and he stood up and he walked off into the night. And I felt terrible because I realized that this was somebody who was sitting there just trying to rest or whatever. He just didn't have really anywhere else to go, and he saw this opportunity to rest, and so I woke up the next morning. At the moment when he walked off into the dark, I thought, wow, I should really go out there and try to give him some food or some money or something. But then I thought, well, wait a minute, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. He walked out into the dark. I really don't think I'm going to be doing that. Um, but I woke up the next morning and I wrote this song. Let's see if I can play it. Okay. It's called What If This Man Was Me? I'm not sure if I use a capo on it or not. I'm going to try. There was a man sitting outside my window because he had to find some place to go. He was weary, more than I have ever known, from being pushed around whichever way the wind blows. And I wonder if he had a family, and if he did they know where he was? And I pondered what I would do if it were me. Could I keep on going just because he did not plan to be living out on the street? Did he have food to eat? What if this man was me? What if his life was mine? Wouldn't I hope to find that people were not blind, and they could see my humanity? What if this man was me? What if this man was me? There was a man sitting outside my window because he had to find some place to go. He was weary, more than I have ever known, from being pushed around whichever way the wind blows. And I wondered if anybody knew his name, or if anybody really cared who he was. And I pondered if he ever felt that way, and how he kept on going just because he did not plan to be living out on the street. Does he have food to eat? What if this man was me? What if his life was mine? Wouldn't I hope to find that people were not blind, and they could see my humanity? What if this man was me? What if this man was me? It was a man sitting outside my window. Yeah, what if this man was me? What if his life was mine? Wouldn't I hope to find that people were not blind and could see my humanity? What if this man was me? You know, I guess I could say that it's an experience that we see a lot of times, unfortunately, especially if you live in Los Angeles, but I'm sure it's all over, where people are, I guess, destitute or just in a really bad way. And, you know, it's easy in our society to focus on what I have for me and me, and trying to acquire things and have, whether it's wealth or opulence. And, you know, I'm not putting any of those things down. Um, and when we have the opportunity to help people who are less fortunate, then I think we have an obligation to humanity to do that. I was thinking about the fact that, you know, I'm not the greatest singer, greatest guitar player, greatest songwriter that ever existed, nor do I need to be. I just need to be authentically me and hopefully say something that's meaningful to you out there so that I can continue to do those things. And, you know, and I appreciate your support that, as I mentioned before, I'll be having, making it available for people in the near future to get this music, you know, to support me as an artist and to support humanity by contributing to positivity in this world through music. That's my reason for doing it. But what I really wanted to say was that um, I I recognize that there are certain things that I can do, um, that I need to do in order to generate income for my life and for my family and for myself, but that there are other people that might not necessarily have uh, the capacity to do that for themselves. And if that's the case for people, then I feel like on some level it's my responsibility to not only use the talents and the gifts that I've been given to generate well-being for me and my immediate family and my friends, but to generate as much well-being for others as I possibly can. And Does that always mean that we have to give somebody money or, food or whatever? Like this man that went out the door, or that walked off my porch? No, it doesn't always mean that. I mean, what I felt the worst about from that whole thing was the way I yelled at him and the startling, seeing him get startled, and he was just sitting down trying to rest his feet. Who knows how long he had been walking? Who knows where he came from? But he got startled by my voice, mean voice, saying, "Get off my porch." Um, and I felt terrible about that. Now, would I've still asked him to get off the porch? Yeah, probably, because he was trespassing. But in retrospect and right away, I felt like I could have been kinder about it. So, even if we just give somebody a smile, um, or, you know, I mean, a hug is maybe a bit much to ask if we're hugging somebody we don't know, but smile can go a long way. And your smile can light up the world. So keep on smiling, keep shining, knowing you can always count on me for sure. Cause that's what friends are for. Oh, that's a little bit of a wimpy song, but it's a beautiful sentiment. And that was Dionne Warwick, obviously, one of the great singers of all time, who was apparently related to, I think, both Aretha and to Whitney Houston. So, love Dionne Warwick. All that Burt Bacharach stuff. Do you know the way to San Jose? Da, 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 da. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys heard. Uh, this is um, this is some news. The guy that wrote the Hokey Pokey passed away, and actually, I have his music right here. Not that I'm going to play the Hokey Pokey, but it was sad because at his funeral, they tried to bury him, and they would put his right foot in, and he'd put his right foot out, and he'd put his left foot in, he'd put his left foot out. It was a fiasco. No, I'm kidding. Whoever wrote the song, you're brilliant. Uh, anyway, what can we play for you? Maybe we'll do a little bit we have a little bit of time left here. Let's do ooh, these songs are not my songs. These are songs that somebody else wrote, songs that you would probably know. Let's see if I can pick one out that makes sense here. Oh, there's Woodstock. By the time we get to Woodstock. Okay. Ooh, maybe this one. This one. Can we do this one? I have no idea. I'm begging here a little bit. Let's try this one. Okay, this is a Cat Stevens song. Well, I think it's fine building jumbo planes or taking a ride on a cosmic train. Switch on summer from a slot machine. Just get what you want if you want, 'cause you can have anything. I know we've come a long way, changing day to day. But tell me, where do the children play? Hey, 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 hey. Well, you roll on roads over fresh green grass, or your lorry loads pumping petrol gas. And you make them long, and you make them long, there you go. And you make them tough, but they just go on and on. Seems like you can't get off. Let's see, where's it go? Uh, oh, I know you come a long way. You're changing day to day. But tell me, where do the children play? Then there's some other chords here. Where you crack the sky, scrapers fill the air. Will you keep on building higher till there's no more room up there? Will you make them laugh? Will you make them cry? Will you tell us when to live? Will you tell us when to die? I know you've come a long way, changing day to day. But tell me, where do the children play? Hey, do 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 do. Hmm. Hey, that's Cat Stevens. I like Cat Stevens. He's supposed to come in a concert. He was on his way and then he couldn't get a visa. He had a concert all planned. And I don't know. He applied for it too late, or maybe they're giving them the runaround because he, was Muslim, is Muslim. I hope that's not the case. Um, there's Moon Shadow and some other great songs of his. We'll do some more Cat Stevens in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a blast. It's great to see everybody. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening to me, my music, and my thoughts. And I love you all. And wishing you the very, very, very best of New Year and to come. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world right now, but have faith. Let's stick together. Let's love each other. And most of all, uh, I'll repeat it. Let's love each other. That is most of all. There's nothing more than that. That is the be all, end all. That is all we need to do. Because, when we love each other, we take actions out of that love and we don't harm each other. We don't hurt each other. We don't try to get somewhere at somebody else's expense. We literally know that there's enough to go around in this world. There's enough for everybody, and that we can all live beautiful, happy lives and have what we need. And so I'm going to keep standing for that, and I'm going to keep standing for you. Let me know what it is you want to do, something that's important to you that you want to do this year. Put it in the chat, and I'm gonna contact you and say, go, 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 cause it's never too late, never too late, bam, 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 bam. Never too late to be great. And the crowd goes wild. Love to you all. See you next week. Bye for now.